I want to discuss our age gap, not because it bothers me, but because society whispers about it more than we do. Our age gap is not a weakness. It's the reason we bring two generations of wisdom into one love. They see no of us connecting beyond time, yet I want to discuss our age gap with you honestly. I want to discuss our age gap because the world has opinions, but only we know the truth of our hearts. They call it a gap. I call it a bridge. Our love is what meets in the middle. I want to discuss our age gap, not to question us, but to show how deeply I believe in us. Age gap love is not about years. It's about patience, growth, and choosing each other despite the noise outside. I want to discuss our age gap because our love deserves to be defended, not hidden in shadows of judgment. They think years divide us, but in your arms I feel younger, freer, and timeless. I want to discuss our age gap because the world fears what they don't understand, and our love terrifies them. This age gap isn't a curse. It's a gift, proof that love transcends calendars and clocks. I want to discuss our age gap not with fear, but with pride that I found you against all odds. People worry about the years between us, but I only worry about a life without you. I want to discuss our age gap because silence feels like surrender, and I refuse to surrender our love. They say love should be equal, yet what's more equal than two hearts beating as one despite their ages? I want to discuss our age gap so you know I'm ready to fight anyone who questions us. Our love is not bound by age. It is bound by truth, laughter, and nights we'll never forget. I want to discuss our age gap because I want to turn the world's judgment into our story of resilience. You teach me things my generation never taught me, and I give you fire that your years never dimmed. I want to discuss our age gap, so you see it not as a weakness, but as the poetry of us. People think love has an expiry date, but my love for you rewrites time itself. I want to discuss our age gap not as a problem, but as proof that love never arrives late. In every smile, every touch, every word, you remind me age is irrelevant when love is real. I want to discuss our age gap so you know I embrace it, not hide from it. They see years. I see lifetimes we'll build together, no matter what calendar they cling to. I want to discuss our age gap because love like ours should be spoken of pride, not silence. People measure us in years. I measure us in laughter, tears, and the warmth of your embrace. I want to discuss our age gap because I don't want it to be a shadow hanging over our light. Our story may confuse them, but it comforts me, and that's enough to keep going. I want to discuss our age gap not with shame, but with gratitude that destiny united us. Years apart mean nothing when our hearts beat in rhythm, faster than time itself. I want to discuss our age gap because silence gives power to judgment, and I refuse to feed it. We are proof that love can bloom between generations, surviving storms others couldn't endure. I want to discuss our age gap because I'd rather confront the world than let them question us quietly. They say we are mismatched. I say we are mere reflections across different timelines. I want to discuss our age gap because I believe our love deserves words, not whispers. Your maturity steadies me. My passion ignites you. That balance is our greatest strength. I want to discuss our age gap not to fear it, but to celebrate it. They call it strange, but nothing feels more natural than lying in your arms. I want to discuss our age gap so you know it doesn't scare me. It inspires me. The world fears difference. We embrace it, and that's what makes us unforgettable. I want to discuss our age gap because the only thing older than us is the love we share. They think love has rules, but we've broken everyone and found freedom in each other. I want to discuss our age gap because it's not our weakness. It's our rebellion against time. If love is eternal, then years are irrelevant. They are mere numbers beneath our infinity. I want to discuss our age gap because you deserve to know I choose you every single time. They may not understand us now, but history will call us fearless. I want to discuss our age gap so we can laugh at how small it feels compared to our love. Years apart, yet our souls met on the same page of destiny's book. I want to discuss our age gap because hiding it feels like denying the miracle of us. They see age, I see courage, passion, and a love I never knew was possible. I want to discuss our age gap because your years tell me stories, and mine add new chapters. Together, we're not defined by numbers, we are defined by how deeply we choose each other. I want to discuss our age gap not as an obstacle, but as the bridge that brought us together. I want to discuss our age gap because love this strong should never be measured by calendars or decades. They call us different, but in your arms, I feel like I finally belong to the same world. I want to discuss our age gap not as a wall, but as proof of how far love can travel. Society sees numbers, but my heart sees only the... I want to discuss our age gap because I'd rather face criticism than ever lose you in silence. They wonder how I understand that true love doesn't check birth certificates. I want to discuss our age gap, not to defend it, but to honor the story we're writing together. Age didn't bring us apart. It brought us together, in the most unexpected, magical way. I want to discuss our age gap, so the world knows our bond is not fragile but unshakable. Love like ours doesn't come twice. That's why I'll never let numbers define us. I want to discuss our age gap because your presence is timeless, and my love is ageless. They may never accept us, but I will never stop choosing you over their opinions. I want to discuss our age gap because in this love, years dissolve like sand in the tide. What they see as distance, I see as destiny's perfect alignment. I want to discuss our age gap because your smile erases every doubt the world plants in me. People confuse age with limits. We know that simply a number love refuses to obey. I want to discuss our age gap, so you know I admire every season you've lived through. If loving you is rebellion, then our age gap is my proudest revolution. I want to discuss our age gap because you deserve to know how fearless I am about us. Love like ours breaks every rule. And still, it feels more sacred than anything written in books. I want to discuss our age gap because I want our story to be remembered silenced. They will try to define us by years, but only we can define ourselves by love. I want to discuss our age gap because I see eternity in your eyes, not numbers in your age. The older you are, the more stories you carry. The younger I am, the more dreams I bring. I want to discuss our age gap so you know we're not alone. We're simply misunderstood by the world. They will judge, but their judgment fades faster than the fire we share. I want to discuss our age gap because hiding it would feel like hiding my heart. Our love may shock them, but it comforts me more than anything else ever has. I want to discuss our age gap so we can turn fear into power and doubt into faith. If age is a measure of time, then love is a measure of eternity, and eternity chose us. I want to discuss our age gap because science feeds gossip, but honesty feeds strength. Years apart, but closer than most lovers who share the same age. I want to discuss our age gap so you know I'm not afraid of the path we walk. They see obstacles. I see a journey only we were brave enough to take. I want to discuss our age gap because I want to prove that real love is fearless. What they call unconventional, I call unforgettable. I want to discuss our age gap so you never mistake my silence for doubt. They measure love in years, but I measure it in the way my heart races for you. I want to discuss our age gap because our love was written by destiny, not by calendars. They whisper about us, but their whispers are powerless against the roar of our truth. I want to discuss our age gap so you know I treasure it as a symbol of our rarity. They see years of difference. I see years of wisdom and passion blending together. I want to discuss our age gap because to me, your age is not a limit, but a blessing. Love chose us despite the odds, and that makes us unstoppable. I want to discuss our age gap because silence makes it seem like shame, and I feel no shame in us. What is age? If not a number, what is love? If not eternal, I want to discuss our age gap because our story deserves to be told, not hidden. They call us mismatched, yet we fit together more perfectly than anyone else. I want to discuss our age gap so the world learns that love doesn't follow their rules. Time tried to keep us apart, but destiny insisted on bringing us together. I want to discuss our age gap because I want to remind you, love like ours is rare and divine. They can't understand us because they've never known a love that bends time itself. I want to discuss our age gap so you feel celebrated, not questioned. What they call unusual, I call extraordinary. I want to discuss our age gap because every year that divides us only proves how strong we are. They count our years, I count the moments where you feel like my forever. I want to discuss our age gap so you never feel alone in this fight. If society can't accept us, then society doesn't deserve to define us. I want to discuss our age gap because love this. Real should never be silenced. They measure difference in years. I measure difference in how deeply you changed my life. I want to discuss our age gap because the only number that matters to me is how many days I've loved you. They will always count years, but we will always count moments that made time disappear. I want to discuss our age gap because I don't see it as distance. I see it as depth. What divides us in age unites us in soul, and that's what makes us untouchable. I want to discuss our age gap because it proves that destiny doesn't check birth dates before writing love stories. They question us because they've never experienced a love that defies time. I want to discuss our age gap, not to justify it, but to celebrate how boldly we love. Our age gap is not a weakness. It is the very strength that keeps us unique. I want to discuss our age gap because I'd rather face criticism together than hide apart. Years apart mean nothing when our souls are bound by eternity. I want to discuss our age gap because I want the world to know I'm not ashamed of us. They measure life in numbers, but we measure life in the courage to love freely. I want to discuss our age gap because the silence of others will never define my truth with you. What scares them about our love is what makes us fearless in it. I want to discuss our age gap so you know I'll never see it as a flaw, only a feature of us. They can break what time itself couldn't separate. I want to discuss our age gap because I believe in naming our truth before they twist it. The world sees numbers, but my heart only sees forever when I look at you. I want to discuss our age gap so you know every difference makes me love you harder. They see distance. I see the miracle of 2 lifetimes crossing paths. I want to discuss our age gap because love isn't meant to be quiet. It's meant to be fierce. They wonder why us, but I wonder why not us, when love feels this right. I want to discuss our age gap because love never consults the calendar before it arrives. What others see as unusual, I see a sacred alignment of 2 hearts. I want to discuss our age gap because hiding it would mean denying the power of our love. They measure us with suspicion, but we measure ourselves with devotion. I want to discuss our age gap because it doesn't separate us. It defines our extraordinary. Our years apart make our connection richer, not weaker. I want to discuss our age gap so you never forget how proud I am of us. They whisper, but their whispers can't reach the bond we've built. I want to discuss our age gap because silence feels like surrender, and I refuse to surrender. Love doesn't follow rules, and our age gap is proof of that divine rebellion. I want to discuss our age gap because it symbolizes everything rare about our story. What they call a gap, I call a bridge to something timeless. I want to discuss our age gap because I'll never let fear rewrite our truth. They can count years, but they'll never count the depth of what we share. I want to discuss our age gap so you see how powerful we are against the odds. Our difference in years is the very reason our love feels like destiny. I want to discuss our age gap because honesty is how we turn doubt into strength. They fear what doesn't fit tradition, but tradition has no place in our love. I want to discuss our age gap because our story deserves courage, not silence. What they call strange, I call the most strange. I call the most natural thing I've ever felt. I want to discuss our age gap so you never think I'm running from it. They won't understand us until they realize love is bigger than time. I want to discuss our age gap because facing it with you feels easier than hiding it alone. Every year that separates us adds another layer of beauty to our bond. I want to discuss our age gap because our love is not fragile. It's forged in fire. They can't accept us because they can't imagine breaking their own chains. I want to discuss our age gap because it is not the enemy. It is our story. What they question, I embrace, because you are worth every judgment. I want to discuss our age gap because I'd rather speak with pride than live with fear. Love is timeless, and we are its living proof. I want to discuss our age gap so the world knows our love is not a mistake. It's a miracle. They may not respect us now, but one day they'll see we were right to choose love. I want to discuss our age gap because we deserve to stand in light, not shadows. What separates us in age unites us in destiny. I want to discuss our age gap because you're not too old. I'm not too young. We are simply us. They measure difference in years. I measure difference in how you've healed me. I want to discuss our age gap because our love story is stronger than their disbelief. If age divides, then love unites. And we are proof that love always wins.